Before we begin, forget engines, batteries, or even autonomous driving headlines. Because what BYD calls God's eye isn't just another feature bolted onto a car. It's a shift in how vehicles perceive reality. Imagine a machine that doesn't merely react to the road, but continuously understands it. One that doesn't just see obstacles, but predicts intent. Not after something happens, but before it unfolds. That's the promise behind BYD's God's eye. And it's why some engineers quietly say this system matters more than horsepower, range, or even full self-driving. At first glance, God's eye sounds like marketing language, a poetic name for cameras and sensors we've seen before. But when you look closer, much closer, you realize BYD isn't trying to copy anyone. They're trying to replace how intelligence inside a vehicle works. Traditional driver assist systems are reactive. A camera spots a lane line. A radar detects a car. Software responds. Everything happens in isolated steps.
God's eye doesn't work like that.
Instead of treating sensors as separate inputs, BYD designed the system to function as a single perceptual layer. Cameras, radar, LiDAR, ultrasonic sensors, merged into one continuous understanding of space, motion, and risk. Not if this, then that. But this is what's happening around me right now. That distinction is subtle, but massive. Because once a vehicle understands context, it no longer waits for danger. It anticipates it. A pedestrian stepping off a curb isn't just an object, it's a probability. A car drifting in its lane isn't noise, it's intent. A blind corner isn't empty, it's uncertainty. God's eye is designed to treat uncertainty as data. And this is where BYD quietly diverges from its competitors. Instead of pushing for full autonomy first, BYD focused on situational intelligence, teaching the car to see like a cautious human, aware of what it knows and what it doesn't. Engineers familiar with the system describe it less as self-driving and more as continuous environmental reasoning. The car is always asking, what's changing? What matters right now? What's likely to happen next? That mindset changes everything, from safety systems to energy efficiency to how vehicles behave in dense, chaotic traffic environments. And it explains why God's eye performs unusually well in places most autonomous systems struggle. Crowded cities, unpredictable drivers, poor road markings, mixed traffic with bikes, scooters, pedestrians, and animals. Instead of relying on ideal conditions, the system was trained in reality. Messy, human reality. But perception alone isn't the real breakthrough. The real transformation begins once that perception is shared across the vehicle's entire decision-making stack: steering, braking, acceleration, battery management, even driver alerts. The car stops behaving like a collection of systems and starts behaving like a single intelligence, which raises a deeper question. If a vehicle can continuously understand its environment, adapt to uncertainty, and learn from every kilometer driven, at what point does driver assistance become something else entirely? Because the next layer of God's eye isn't about control. The learning layer is where BYD's God's eye truly separates itself from ordinary ADAS systems. Most driver assist technology reacts based on pre-programmed rules.
Stop here.
Slow there. Brake there. Avoid that. Each scenario must be anticipated by engineers and coded into logic. God's eye, however, isn't limited to preset responses. Every journey becomes a data source. Every corner, every pedestrian, every unpredictable traffic movement feeds into an internal model. The car doesn't just store this information, it refines its understanding of the environment, continuously predicting probabilities and adapting its decision-making in real time. Think of it as a collective intelligence embedded in a single vehicle. The system can recognize patterns it has never encountered before and adjust instantly, without waiting for updates from the cloud or human intervention. The implications are staggering. Imagine a car that senses a cyclist about to swerve and preemptively adjusts trajectory, detects an unstable road surface and reallocates braking power to maintain stability, learns how local drivers behave in a specific city and anticipates common maneuvers before they happen. This is situational intelligence amplified. Not just seeing, but understanding, predicting and responding in milliseconds. And BYD doesn't stop there. God's eye isn't only about one car's intelligence. It's designed to communicate with other vehicles and infrastructure. A single God's eye-equipped car can send and receive signals about hazards, traffic density, and even environmental conditions. Over time, an entire fleet becomes a self-updating web of vehicle intelligence, where the experience of one car improves the awareness of the others. This transforms driving from a reactive task into a networked, anticipatory system. Roads become safer, traffic smoother, energy use more efficient. Even seemingly minor events, a jaywalking pedestrian, sudden braking ahead, or a pothole in a blind corner, are predicted and managed seamlessly. Critics might argue that no system can replace human intuition, and they're right for now. But God's eye doesn't aim to replace intuition. It augments it, combining real-time learning, predictive reasoning, and network data in a way humans alone can't achieve. And this is why BYD's innovation is quietly attracting attention beyond the auto industry. Urban planners, traffic authorities, and even insurance firms are watching closely. A system that can predict hazards before they occur has implications that stretch far beyond the car itself, reducing accidents, lowering costs, and redefining urban mobility. Yet, despite the sophistication, BYD remains careful. God's eye is not marketed as fully autonomous, and the company emphasizes driver supervision. This cautious approach reflects a broader understanding. Technology must earn trust before it can scale. And here's the most intriguing part. The evolutionary potential of God's eye is only just beginning. The current system is remarkable, but as more vehicles are deployed, as more scenarios are experienced, and as more data is collected, the intelligence grows exponentially. What started as a single perceptual system in a car could evolve into a continent-wide network of predictive, self-learning vehicles, fundamentally transforming how humans interact with transportation. And that foundation opens possibilities we are only beginning to imagine. Picture cities where traffic flows almost organically, intersections that adjust themselves because vehicles approaching them are already communicating predicted behaviors. Emergency vehicles that move faster because every surrounding car anticipates their path. Pedestrians and cyclists whose presence is dynamically accounted for, not just by sensors in a single car, but by an entire intelligent network of vehicles. God's eye isn't just about avoiding accidents. It's about creating a system where mobility itself becomes predictive, adaptive, and cooperative. Every car contributes to a larger, collective awareness, turning previously chaotic urban streets into a responsive, semi-organic ecosystem. And while the technology is extraordinary, BYD's approach is pragmatic. They haven't promised fully autonomous fleets overnight. Instead, the system evolves incrementally, each car learning from its own experience while contributing to the shared intelligence. This slow, layered approach ensures that the technology gains reliability before it gains scale, a critical factor for safety and adoption. But the ripple effects extend beyond roads and highways. Urban planning could be revolutionized, with traffic patterns mapped and optimized in real time. Insurance models may shift from reactive claims to predictive risk assessment. Even energy consumption could be minimized as vehicles anticipate braking, acceleration, and route optimization collectively. And here's where the story turns strategic. BYD is not just selling a car or a feature. They're demonstrating a paradigm shift in how machines interact with complex systems. God's eye represents a step toward vehicles that don't just drive. They think, sense, and adapt in ways that were previously the domain of science fiction. For skeptics, this may sound hyperbolic, but the data collected from test fleets, along with real-world simulations, suggests that the system works in conditions far more complex than any standard autonomous vehicle could currently handle. Urban chaos, mixed traffic, unpredictable human behavior. God's eye is designed to navigate these challenges, and early results are quietly impressive. And the potential doesn't stop at cars. BYD has hinted at integrating God's eye technology into logistics fleets, public transport, and even aerial drones, extending predictive intelligence to multiple layers of transportation infrastructure. Imagine a city where not just cars, but buses, delivery vehicles, and drones all communicate, anticipate, and adapt together. The implications are staggering: safer roads, more efficient traffic, reduced emissions, and a glimpse into a future where mobility is seamlessly intelligent. But the most fascinating part is that we are only scratching the surface. Every day, more data is fed into the system. Every vehicle becomes smarter, and every scenario teaches God's eye something new. What seems futuristic today may become ordinary tomorrow, and when that happens, the way humans experience transportation could change forever. And as this system matures, the question shifts from can it work to how far can it go? Because God's eye isn't limited to just sensing and predicting traffic. Its architecture allows for continuous learning across a fleet, which means the intelligence of a single car grows exponentially when connected to others. Every route traveled, every hazard avoided, every unusual maneuver observed, each one becomes part of a shared experiential database. This turns individual vehicles into nodes in a larger, self-improving network. A scenario that once caused confusion or near collisions becomes a learning opportunity for all God's eye-equipped vehicles. The next car to encounter a similar situation can respond faster, smoother, and more effectively. And that's where the competitive edge emerges. While many manufacturers focus on raw horsepower, battery range, or fully autonomous hype, BYD is quietly building fleet-wide intelligence that adapts in real time, a capability no other automaker currently deploys at scale. It also opens doors for cross-industry applications. Emergency response vehicles could leverage predictive intelligence to navigate congested urban environments, while logistics companies could optimize delivery routes dynamically based on real-time fleet knowledge. Even public transportation could evolve, with buses anticipating traffic patterns and passenger flow before congestion forms. But what really sets God's eye apart is its human-centric philosophy. Unlike fully autonomous systems that aim to remove human decision-making, BYD's approach is to augment the driver, not replace them. Drivers remain in control, but the car continuously informs, predicts, and guides, turning human intuition into something sharper, safer, and faster. It's a subtle, almost invisible revolution. Most people may never notice how much smarter their car has become. They'll just experience smoother traffic, fewer near misses, and a sense of confidence they didn't have before. And that subtlety is deliberate. BYD understands that trust cannot be demanded, it must be earned. God's eye works quietly, learns continuously, and only when the system proves itself reliable does it expand its influence over more complex decisions and interactions. Which leads to the next frontier: integration with smart city infrastructure. Traffic lights, road sensors, and other connected systems could one day communicate directly with God's eye-equipped vehicles. The car wouldn't just react to its environment, it would negotiate with it, coordinate with it, and optimize it in real time. Imagine a city where congestion is anticipated, hazards are minimized before they occur, and mobility feels intuitive, almost organic. This is not science fiction. It's the trajectory that BYD is quietly exploring with God's eye. And here's the kicker: the technology scales. From a single car to entire fleets, from urban streets to inner-city highways, God's eye has the potential to redefine how humans and vehicles coexist, making transportation smarter, safer, and more efficient than ever before. The revolution is not in flashy advertisements or headlines. It's in the persistent intelligence quietly accumulating in every connected vehicle, shaping the future of mobility one calculated decision at a time. And yet, despite all this potential, the world is only beginning to understand what's unfolding. Most drivers, analysts, and even competitors have glimpsed only fragments of what God's eye can do. The real transformation, the moment when predictive, adaptive, human-centered vehicle intelligence becomes the norm, is still ahead. And as that transformation unfolds, the implications extend far beyond just cars on the road. God's eye doesn't exist in isolation. Every car, every bus, every vehicle equipped with the system becomes a living data point in an expanding network of intelligence. Streets, highways, and intersections become part of a dynamic ecosystem where each movement is measured, predicted, and optimized. In practical terms, That means fewer accidents, smoother traffic flow, and a reduction in wasted energy. But it also means something more profound: vehicles that anticipate human behavior rather than simply reacting to it. They don't just respond to mistakes, they help prevent them before they happen. And the learning isn't just local. Data collected in one city can influence vehicles across an entire country, or even across continents. Every lesson learned in dense urban traffic in Shanghai could inform how a God's eye car navigates the chaotic streets of Lagos. The system's intelligence scales globally, all while remaining grounded in real-world experience. Meanwhile, engineers continue to refine the predictive algorithms, teaching the system to handle scenarios no human could anticipate. Unpredictable weather, unexpected obstacles, erratic drivers, or sudden emergencies. The car's perceptual layer adapts in real time, calculating probabilities and determining the safest, most efficient course of action. What emerges is more than a car. It's a collaborative intelligence, part human, part machine, part network, an entity capable of interpreting, predicting, and acting in ways that seem almost alive. Yet BYD's approach is subtle. There's no boastful PR campaign claiming fully autonomous dominance. The company emphasizes careful, incremental progress, proving reliability first before seeking scale. Trust is built quietly, through consistent, safe performance, rather than flashy demonstrations. And for the driver, the experience feels natural. You don't notice the predictive calculations, the anticipatory adjustments, or the invisible network of data shaping every decision. You just notice that driving feels safer, smoother, and more intuitive, as if your car somehow understands what's happening around you. From here, the possibilities are staggering. Integrating God's eye with city infrastructure, smart traffic management, logistics networks, and even aerial drones could create a connected mobility ecosystem unlike anything the world has seen. The distinction between human, vehicle, and environment begins to blur, forming a continuous loop of perception and action. And that is the silent revolution BYD is orchestrating. One that doesn't make headlines today, but may fundamentally reshape how humans move through the world tomorrow. The question is no longer if vehicles can be smarter. It's how quickly the world will catch up to what BYD is quietly demonstrating, that true vehicle intelligence isn't about speed, automation, or horsepower. It's about awareness, prediction, and connection. And that brings us to the conclusion of this story, not with a dramatic finale, but with a quiet understanding of what's truly unfolding. BYD's God's eye isn't a gimmick, a marketing term, or a fleeting innovation. It is a fundamental rethinking of vehicle intelligence, one that blends perception, prediction, and connectivity into a system capable of learning from every environment, every scenario, and every driver. Its impact may not be obvious today. Roads will still be busy, traffic will still frustrate us, and accidents will still occur. But beneath that ordinary surface, a subtle revolution is taking shape. Vehicles that anticipate, adapt, and cooperate, quietly making mobility safer, smarter, and more efficient. The full potential of God's eye extends far beyond a single car or fleet. It hints at a future where cities, infrastructure, and vehicles operate in harmony, where human intuition is amplified and transportation becomes not just a service, but an intelligent ecosystem. And while the world debates, questions, and speculates, BYD is quietly building the infrastructure of the future, 1 mile at a time.